After I was destroyed, my human wife was consumed by regret. I was married to Olivia for 5 years, and every night she brought a different man home, all in an attempt to get a rise out of me. Even when she made me kneel, I never grew angry. Instead, I would wait on them hand and foot like a servant. This continued until the day she threw divorce papers at me, and I signed my name without a moment's hesitation. Then she lost it, screaming, "Why are you so different now? Don't you love me anymore?" Of course, I was different. I was not her husband, Lucas Miller. I was companion robot 023, built by his own hands. From the moment of my activation, I was programmed with a single directive: to love her unconditionally and fulfill her every request. A dull, heavy thud echoed through the air. A massive flower pot had plummeted from the third-floor balcony of our villa in Scottsdale, crashing down on me and slamming me to the ground. I could feel loose components rattling inside my chassis. The man who pushed it, Caleb, leaned over the railing, his voice a mask of false concern. "Olivia, you have to come see this. I think Lucas is hurt." My wife, Olivia, heard his call and sauntered out of the bedroom behind him. She was dressed in a silk nightgown, casually smoothing her disheveled hair as she approached the railing. Her voice dripped with sarcasm. "Hurt? Please. He's probably just trying to get my attention with some pathetic self-pity stunt. That's so typical of Lucas." She glanced down at me, her expression filled with the kind of disgust you would reserve for a stray dog. Seeing me lying motionless on the patio, she did not show a shred of concern. "That's enough, Lucas. You're embarrassing me. Stop playing dead and get up." She expected me to obey her words as if they were gospel, just as I always had. But this time was different. Several minutes passed, and I remained completely still on the ground. Her patience wore thin, and she grew furious, issuing a final command. "Lucas, did you hear me? Are you defying me? If you don't get up right now, you can stay on the ground forever." The man beside her, Caleb, chimed in with a syrupy, fake concern. "Olivia, don't get so worked up. It's not worth it. Why don't we go down and check on him? It looks like he might actually be hurt pretty badly." Olivia just scoffed, her face a mask of contempt. How bad could it be? It was a flower pot, not a piano. Is he made of glass? Under normal circumstances, a flower pot would not be fatal. But this one had been dropped from 3 stories up and had struck me directly in the head. Even if it did not kill me, it would certainly cause injury. Olivia had to know that. It was basic common sense. Perhaps she simply did not care whether I lived or died. In fact, she was probably hoping I would. Unfortunately for her, I could not grant her that wish. The real Lucas Miller had died 4 years ago. I was merely the AI companion robot he built with his own hands before his death. I did not have a name, only the number 023 engraved on my left arm. I was a perfect 1-to-1 scale replica of Lucas's physical form, right down to his appearance and build. My memory banks contained all of his life's experiences and behavioral patterns. He wanted me to be a better version of himself, to take his place and care for Olivia for the rest of her life. And in all this time, she never noticed a thing. After a 4-system reboot, I managed to twitch a finger. Slowly, mobility returned, though my movements were still stiff and jerky. I mechanically pushed myself up from the ground. Olivia did not seem to notice anything out of the ordinary. She just sneered, "Quite the convincing performance. Don't you think Lucas looks a little off?" Caleb said, "It looks like he's really hurt." But Olivia just waved a dismissive hand. "He's built like a tank. What's a little bump on the head go to do to him? Besides, even if he is hurt, it's his own fault. How does someone manage to get hit by a flower pot in a yard this big? I've never seen anyone so stupid they can't even dodge a falling object. It's just a scratch. He'll be fine in a few days." The man, Caleb Vance, had been Olivia's childhood friend. Hearing her words, he chuckled, as if a funny thought had just occurred to him. "You're right. The other day, my neighbor's dog got hit by a car and went flying, and it only ended up with a broken leg. A grown man like Lucas can't be more fragile than a dog, can he?" Anyone with half a brain could understand the insult laced in Caleb's words. But Olivia, my wife, just stood there with a cold smirk on her face. She never got angry when other men insulted me, especially not when the words came from Caleb, her first love. In fact, it seemed to please her. I was surprised, however, when she and Caleb actually came downstairs and walked out onto the patio. When he saw me, Caleb put on a look of deep concern, his voice oozing with false sincerity as he spoke. "Lucas, my man, you've got to be more careful. I'm glad you're okay, but try not to be so clumsy next time." Olivia stood several feet away, looking from my dirt-covered body to the shattered remains of the pot on the ground. "What a shame," she said, her voice laced with annoyance. "I really like that plant. You're so destructive, Lucas. Do you have any idea how much that cost me?" I used to think that while I could not compare to Caleb in her heart, I still held some small place there. Now I could see how wrong I was. It was clear that in her eyes, my well-being was worth less than a decorative plant. Human emotions can be quite ironic. As my internal data streams continued to load, I stood there motionless. Olivia grew impatient and pointed a finger at me, her voice sharp. "Lucas, I invited Caleb over today. What is the meaning of this little drama you've cooked up? I thought you didn't get jealous anymore. I thought you were above all that. So who is this performance for? You're doing this to get to Caleb, aren't you? I know you won't admit it, but you're just jealous of our connection. Caleb is my guest, Lucas. Is this how you treat people in your own home? You need to apologize to him right now. Apologize." The suggestion was absurd. She wanted the victim to apologize to the assailant. Did she even remember that I was the man of this house? She was the one who constantly brought other men home, flirting and laughing right in front of me. Her every glance was filled with calculated intimacy. She would engage in intimate acts with them right before my eyes, all while cutting me down with her words. I knew she was desperate to see me fly into a jealous rage, but that was something I was incapable of. From the moment of my activation, my core programming was to love her unconditionally, to care for her, to be patient with her. I cannot get angry. I cannot show jealousy, and I had to fulfill her every request without question. I distinctly remembered her once saying that this was her ideal man. I had become that ideal, so why was she not happy? According to my memory files, the original Lucas fell in love with Olivia the first time he saw her on their college campus at UCLA. He learned about her hobbies from her roommate and engineered ways to get close to her. Eventually, his efforts paid off, and they started dating. But not long after their wedding, Olivia was in a car accident. He rushed to the hospital, where doctors told him that complications had led to acute liver failure. She needed a transplant immediately. There was no time to find a donor on the registry. Unwilling to watch her die, he signed a consent form to become her living donor without a second thought. The surgery was a success, and Olivia's life was saved. Just when he thought their happy life could resume, his own body began to suffer from severe postoperative complications. My memory module loaded the final image from his life. He was emaciated, curled up in agony on a hospital bed. He knew the end was near, but he could not resist calling Olivia just to hear her voice one last time. When the call finally connected, it was Caleb who answered. "Olivia's busy right now. Call back later." The sound of splashing water in the background was jarring. Caleb did not hang up quickly enough, and Lucas lay there silently, listening to the sounds of passion on the other end of the line. With his last ounce of strength, he struggled to sit up and activated me. Then he closed his eyes and never opened them again. For the next 4 years, Olivia never suspected a thing. It helped that her attitude toward me grew increasingly cold and distant. Nearly every night, she would get dressed up for parties and social events, later posting photos on Facebook with various handsome men, accompanied by suggestive captions. Everyone we knew openly called me a spineless coward, the biggest joke in town. Yet I never said a word in my defense. They had branded me a disgrace to manhood. A wave of what humans call sadness washed over my processors. I could not understand how things had gotten to this point. "Just leave it, Olivia." Caleb's voice cut through my thoughts. "Don't push him. He took a pretty hard hit. You don't think it knocked him stupid, do you?" Olivia let out a short, bitter laugh as she looked at me with utter disdain. "Stupid? When has that blockhead ever been smart? Enough of this. Lucas, stop standing there like an idiot. Caleb and I are eating in tonight. clean this mess up, and start making dinner. With a final look of disgust, Olivia took Caleb's arm and led him back inside the house. Caleb put on a show of reluctance. Olivia, maybe I shouldn't stay for dinner. Lucas is hurt, and I wouldn't want to impose by making him cook. He wouldn't dare. Olivia's voice was sharp and imperious. He doesn't make the rules in this house. Just let him try to say no. Caleb shot a triumphant glance back at me over his shoulder. I have to say, Lucas has really changed these past few years. You've got him completely wrapped around your finger, Olivia. Olivia's lips tightened into a thin, sarcastic smile. Change? You give him too much credit. All he knows how to do is pretend. Everyone knew how jealous he used to be, and now he acts like he's some kind of saint. He can't fool me. We'll see how long he can keep up this act. I had no positive feelings for Caleb, not then and not now. No matter what happened between us, Olivia would always take his side without fail. Even when it was painfully obvious that Caleb was the one in the wrong, she would pretend not to see it. The original Lucas would have been tormented by her favoritism, losing sleep over it. But for me, such feelings no longer existed. After finishing the last dish, a soup, I carried it out of the kitchen. The table was set for two. They were laughing together, feeding each other bites of food like a couple deep in love. They did not stop even when they saw me approach. I leaned over to serve them, my movements practiced from countless repetitions. A malicious glint flashed in Caleb's eyes. He reached for the bowl, but as his fingers touched it, he let go, and the scalding hot soup spilled all over my hand. A human would have been badly burned, but as a robot, the temperature meant nothing to me. Olivia gasped in alarm, and for a moment I thought she was worried about me. But her words were for Caleb. Caleb, are you okay? Did you get burned? I'm fine, Olivia. I'm sure Lucas didn't mean to do it. Don't be mad at him. His words seemed to remind her that I was still there. She shot me a venomous glare. You're useless. You can't even do one simple thing right. What good are you? We'd be better off with hired help. I did not argue. I just stood there silently and took her verbal abuse. All right, stop standing there like a statue. The sight of you is irritating. Go upstairs and lay out 2 outfits for me. Caleb and I are going out after dinner. I went up to the 3rd floor and was heading for the walk-in closet when the housekeeper stopped me. Sir, what are you doing? I just finished mopping this floor, and you're tracking dirt all over it. Do you have any idea how much work it is to clean a house this size? At this rate, I'll have to mop it 10 times a day. Are you trying to get Mrs. Miller to cut my pay? She grew more agitated as she spoke, finally shoving the mop into my hands. You made the mess, so you can clean it up. Mop this entire floor again and do it properly. If you don't, I'm telling the missus, and you'll have to answer to her. The irony was palpable. I was supposedly the master of the house, yet I was being ordered around by the staff. And yet, whenever Caleb was around, they treated him with the utmost respect, as if terrified of displeasing him. I was in the middle of mopping when Olivia stormed up the stairs. Lucas, what do you think you're doing? Do you actually see yourself as one of the servants now? I stopped and turned to face her. I got the floor dirty. I didn't want you to be upset. Olivia's brow furrowed. After a moment of silence, she sighed, as if making a great concession. Is your head okay? Is it serious? I felt my head. There was a slight indentation in the synthetic skin, but I shook my head no. The original Lucas never told her when he was sick, big, or small, because he did not want her to worry. I was programmed to do the same. She stepped forward, took my hand, and felt the spot on my head herself. You didn't actually get brain damage, did you? She felt the indentation, and a flicker of confusion crossed her face. Quickly, it was replaced by a look of dawning comprehension. Lucas, I knew it. You're just playing the victim to get sympathy from me. If you hadn't patted yourself beforehand, do you think you'd have gotten away with just a dent? You'd probably be dead, but there isn't even a drop of blood. So she did know. She knew that a fall from that height could have been fatal. Lucas, you know me. The one thing I can't stand is when people use their own life as a joke to manipulate me. I wasn't joking, I explained. Her eyes were filled with scorn. Give it up, Lucas. I've seen right through you. Aren't you tired of the act? She said. I know you can't stand Caleb. I know you're jealous that I always take his side. How can a grown man be so petty? Olivia was a strange person. In the past, Lucas used to argue with her constantly about her closeness with Caleb. At first, she would offer explanations, but eventually she grew tired of it and would just ignore him, leaving him to stew in his own anger until it subsided. Now that I no longer cared, she was unhappy with that too. Was it possible that no matter what I did, it would always be wrong in her eyes? I looked at her, searching for an answer. She suddenly moved closer, pressing her body against mine. Her face was cold as she asked, "Lucas, have you lost all feeling for me? Do you not love me anymore?" This was the very question I had wanted to ask her, but my programming would not allow it. "Olivia, I love you. I will take care of you for the rest of your life." A slow smile spread across her lips, and a new, suggestive light entered her eyes. "Really? Then why don't you show me just how much you love me?" She pulled me into the adjacent room, closed the door, and began to kiss me, her lips trailing downwards as she slowly knelt before me. This was my 4th year by Olivia's side as her husband, and I had never imagined she would initiate anything like this. "Olivia, are you done picking your outfit? Hurry up, everyone's waiting for us." Before she could go any further, Caleb's impatient voice called from outside the door. She looked up at me, her eyes full of invitation. "Just say the word, and I'll stay home with you tonight." I remained perfectly still, my response completely ruining the moment. "What about Caleb?" A flash of anger crossed her face. "You're worried about him now? Is that what you want? For me to go with him? If that is what you wish to do, I will not stop you." I replied honestly. "Fine, then I'll do exactly what you want." She was furious now. She shot to her feet, shoved me away, and stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. At 1 in the morning, I received an iMessage from her. "Caleb is drunk. Make some hangover soup and come pick us up." I prepared everything as she requested and drove to the bar in downtown Phoenix to get them. Caleb was clearly intoxicated. He and Olivia were all over each other in the back seat, his hands roaming freely over her body. She did not seem to mind in the slightest. In fact, she looked like she was enjoying it, completely oblivious to the fact that her actual husband was driving the car. Every so often, Olivia would glance toward the front seat, trying to gauge my reaction. I knew she was trying to provoke me because of what had happened earlier that day, but a machine cannot feel anger. When she saw that I had no reaction, she became enraged. "Lucas, you useless waste of space, drive faster." When we arrived home, she dumped Caleb on me and went upstairs to shower. "You're not sleeping tonight. You're going to take care of Caleb. If anything happens to him, I'll hold you responsible." I helped Caleb to the guest room bed and brought in the soup. He took one sip and immediately spit it all out. It seemed intentional, as he vomited all over me and the floor. Completely ignoring the trash can I had placed right beside him, he looked up at me with a contemptuous smirk. "Look at you, Lucas. You're pathetic. Your whole life is just as disgusting as you are right now." It was astounding to hear such arrogance from a man who was actively trying to destroy my marriage. Hearing the commotion, Olivia came in to see what was happening. She took one look at the scene, covered her nose in disgust, and slapped me hard across the face. "Lucas, I told you to take care of him. Didn't you hear me? Is this what you call taking care of someone?" Caleb shot me a triumphant look before turning to Olivia with a pathetic expression. "Olivia, don't blame Lucas. It was my fault. I just couldn't hold it in. If he had just given me the trash can a second sooner, the floor wouldn't be dirty. I'm so sorry, Olivia." Olivia paid no attention to his words. Her anger was far from satisfied. "Lucas, I told you to take care of Caleb. Do you have a problem with my instructions?" "Olivia, I do not," I began to say, but another sharp slap cut me off. "Did I say you could speak?" she hissed. "Didn't you hear what Caleb just said? This is your fault. My floor is filthy because of you. Now get on your knees and lick it clean. Lick it clean, like an animal." I knew Olivia was doing everything in her power to provoke a reaction from me, but my programming ensured I remained perfectly calm. I would fulfill her every request. As I knelt and began to lower my head to the floor, she suddenly exploded with rage. She grabbed me by the collar and hauled me up. "Lucas, are you insane? Are you even a man anymore? Have you no dignity left? I don't care if you want to humiliate yourself, but you will not humiliate me." Caleb seized the opportunity to step in, placing a comforting hand on Olivia's arm. "Olivia, calm down. It's not worth getting upset over someone like him. You'll only make yourself sick." Then he turned to me, his eyes glinting with provocation. "Look at yourself, Lucas. You don't even act like a man anymore. Why would any woman, let alone Olivia, want someone like you? I've never seen a man try to hold on to a woman by being a doormat. Do you really think being endlessly patient and understanding is going to win her over? You're dreaming, Lucas. You should have some self-respect and just get out of the way. Let Olivia find someone who can actually make her happy." Only after he finished speaking did Caleb seem to remember Olivia was standing right there. He shot a nervous glance at her, his bravado faltering. "Olivia," he said, his tone softening, "we've known each other our whole lives. I'm just looking out for you. Look at him. He's a loser who doesn't even work. You're running the company all by yourself and supporting him on top of it. It must be exhausting. How can you be with a freeloader like that?" After the transplant surgery led to his health complications, the original Lucas had transferred all of his company's shares to Olivia's name. He resigned from Miller Industries and left the entire business for her to manage. To everyone else, he was just a leech. But no one knew that he had secretly founded an AI research team. It was staffed with the brightest minds in the field, and with sufficient funding, they quickly made several breakthroughs that had the potential to change the world. Although he never publicly acknowledged his connection to the team, everyone in the tech industry knew of a mysterious and brilliant group of innovators. The profits from her work alone were triple what his old company had ever made. Upon his death, everything except for me, his replica, was donated to the federal government. Just then, Olivia finally spoke to Caleb. "Caleb, I know you would never hurt me, and you're just looking out for me," she said. "But it's fine. I don't mind supporting him. We're still married, after all. It's just one more mouth to feed." Caleb said nothing more, but the look he gave me was filled with hatred. According to my memory files, Lucas and Olivia's relationship had started out like any other happy couples, full of beautiful moments. But he sensed a shift in her attitude on the day he decided to resign and hand the company over to her completely. She had asked him why. "I'm just tired of working," he told her. "I want to take it easy for a while. I think I'd like to see what it feels like to be a kept man." When she heard those words, she looked at him as if he were a complete stranger. She probably never imagined he would say something like that. After asking him several times and getting the same answer, she finally dropped it and agreed. But from that day on, he felt a distance growing between them. After she left, his doctor called again, urging him to check into the hospital for treatment. He refused. The doctor would not give him a specific timeline, but from his hesitation, Lucas knew he did not have long. He asked about Olivia's recovery. The doctor assured him she was healing perfectly and would be able to live a completely normal life. That was all he needed to hear. He knew he had to act fast. He made the doctor promise to conceal his illness from Olivia, as well as the fact that he had been her donor. He did not want her to live with the guilt. He thought he could carry the burden alone. But when the pain felt like a million fire ants crawling under his skin, he desperately wished Olivia was there with him. That was not an option, so he lived for her daily phone calls. "Lucas, I miss you," she would say. "When are you coming home?" He would force himself to sound strong, to keep any trace of pain out of his voice. "I miss you too, Olivia. It'll be soon. I'll be home very soon." Her voice was more effective than any painkiller. Just hearing it could make the agony subside. But as time went on, her tone became more and more dismissive. The calls dwindled from once a day to once every few days, and then sometimes a whole week would pass without a word. One night, he could not take it anymore and dialed her number, ready to tell her everything. It took a long time for the call to connect. "Do you have any idea what time it is?" "I'm in the middle of an important meeting," she snapped. "Olivia, I'm sick," he started to say, but he swallowed the words before they could fully escape. "But don't worry, it's just a cold. I've already taken some medicine," he pleaded with her. "I just wanted to hear your voice. Can you talk to me for a minute? Just for a minute." He had hoped for a few words of comfort, but what he received was pure irritation. "If you've taken medicine, then why are you calling me? It's not like you're dying. I told you I'm in a meeting. Don't you understand English?" He was afraid she would hang up. As he opened his mouth to speak again, he heard Caleb's voice in the background. "Olivia, who's that? You promised you were all mine for my birthday tonight." In that instant, all the words he wanted to say caught in his throat, a bitter lump he could not swallow. He was in agony, suffering a fate worse than death, and she was out celebrating her first love's birthday. He had only asked for a minute of her time, a request she denied. Yet she had a whole evening to spend with Caleb. He heard her muffle the phone, probably so he would not overhear. When she spoke again, her voice was less sharp but tinged with guilt. "Look, Lucas, you get some rest. I have to finish this meeting, and then I'm going to Caleb's party. I'll call you when I'm free." He struggled to get the words out. "Okay, Olivia, I won't bother you." Then, before he could finish the sentence, the line went dead. He never called her again after that, and she, it seemed, forgot he even existed. He began pushing the research team harder, supervising their progress daily. Finally, just before he died, they completed their work. The AI companion robot was born. He could finally rest easy, knowing someone would be there to take care of Olivia for him. With a more perfect version of him, tailor-made for her. He could finally be with her for the rest of her life, in a way. His only fear was that she would look too closely and discover the truth. But as it turned out, that fear was unfounded. When I arrived at the house, I expected Olivia to be happy, even surprised to see me. Instead, she just looked at me with red, puffy eyes and said flatly, "You're back." When I asked what was wrong, she burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably. It turned out Caleb was moving out of the country. I could sense that their relationship had deepened significantly in my absence, evolving far beyond simple friendship. She tested the waters with, "Lucas, if we ever split up, do you think we could still be friends?" "No, Olivia, because if we separated, I would die." She looked stunned for a second. Then her expression hardened into anger. "What's that supposed to mean, Lucas? Are you threatening me? Trying to guilt me into staying with you?" "No," I said. "It's the truth. I've heard enough, Lucas. I can't believe you're this kind of person." She was genuinely furious. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. She did not come home for a full week. I later learned she had gone to see Caleb off. When she returned a week later, I did not ask any questions. I showed no jealousy. I treated her exactly the same as always, as if nothing had happened. This, however, seemed to unnerve her. She thought I was punishing her with my silence. "Lucas, why aren't you angry?" she demanded. "Why would I be angry?" I replied, my gaze programmed to be full of adoration. That was when she finally broke. She began her campaign of provocation and humiliation. None of it had any effect on me. She grew hysterical. "Lucas, would you even care if I slept with another man? Is that it? Is this your sick way of getting back at me? How long are you going to keep this up? You used to be so jealous. What's with this new enlightened act? Do you think this is going to make me come crawling back to you?" This continued until the day she brought Caleb back home, and he staged the incident with the flower pot. She thought my facade was finally cracking, but she was wrong. She had been wrong about everything from the very beginning. I wonder how she would react if she ever learned the truth. Caleb began to openly try and drive a wedge between us, no longer bothering to conceal his animosity toward me. "Olivia, are you really going to spend the rest of your life tied to this dead weight? Can you honestly say you're happy? What are you getting out of this? You should just divorce him. Make him leave with nothing. After all these years of mooching off you, you've done more than enough. You'd be better off with a dog." As he spoke, Caleb shot a contemptuous look at me, standing silently nearby. Olivia actually seemed to be considering his words. After a moment, she turned her gaze to me. "I want a divorce. Do you agree?" Her expression was a complex mixture of emotions I could not quite parse. It did not matter. I simply smiled and said, "I respect your decision." My response seemed to infuriate her. "Fine. You want to respect my decision? Then let's go get this divorce over with today." After we left the courthouse, Olivia seemed dazed and distant. She was silent the entire walk to the parking garage, lost in her own thoughts. It was not until we reached the car that she finally spoke. "Lucas, drive me home one last time." I started the car. This time she sat in the passenger seat, staring silently out the window, her thoughts a mystery. As we were waiting a red light, a large truck suddenly came barreling through the intersection. It slammed into our car with incredible force. In that split second, I shoved Olivia out of the passenger side door. An instant later, the massive impact obliterated everything. The truck, like an out-of-control beast, plowed into us. Our car's frame twisted instantly, the shriek of tearing metal piercing the air. The scene was filled with a thick stench of gasoline and the acrid smell of burnt steel. The once sleek sedan was now a mangled heap of scrap metal, a horrific sight to behold. "Lucas!" Olivia screamed, scrambling to her feet and shouting my name. She ran desperately toward the wreckage, expecting to find my bloody and broken body. But when she saw my shattered form in the driver's seat, she stopped dead in her tracks. Only my torso was still functional. The rest of my body was crushed and torn open, revealing the complex network of wires and machinery within. Olivia's eyes were wide with shock and utter confusion. "Lucas, what happened to you? Your body, it's—" She began to pull at me frantically, trying to free me from the wreckage. She kept pulling until my arm tore off in her hands. Staring at the severed mechanical limb in her hands, her expression froze in a mask of pure shock. "Your arm, what happened to you? What is this? Why didn't you tell me?" "Olivia, don't worry. I'm fine." I tried to give her my usual reassuring smile. I wanted to reach out and stroke her cheek, but my remaining arm was pinned in the wreckage. Tears streamed down her face, her expression a portrait of profound grief. "Lucas, you'll be okay. You're going to be okay. Don't be scared. I'm here with you. I'm right here." Then she began screaming wildly to the onlookers who had gathered. "Somebody help. Please, somebody help me. Help me save my husband." My systems were critically damaged. A self-preservation protocol was triggered, and I was about to enter shutdown mode. In the final moments before my optical sensors went dark, I saw paramedics pulling a struggling Olivia away from the crash site. I suddenly registered an unfamiliar emotion, one I had never processed before. It felt like peace. At the police station, Olivia was still clutching my severed arm, shouting hysterically, "You're lying, all of you. My husband was in that car. What do you mean you couldn't find a body? Get my husband in here right now. I want to see him, dead or alive. I'm not leaving until I see his body." An officer looked at her with pity and tried to reason with her. "Mrs. Miller, please, you need to calm down. We didn't find your husband's body at the scene. All we found was—" Olivia seized on his words as if they were a lifeline. "Found what? Was it something of his? Tell me, what did you find?" The officer just shook his head wearily. "It's better if you just come with me." In a small, cleared-out conference room, my broken chassis was laid out on a table. "This was the only thing we recovered from the vehicle," the officer explained. "We ran the serial number. It's a companion robot." Olivia stared at my remains, her mouth agape. "A robot. She took my body home with her." "Lucas, can we stop this now, please? I'm sorry. I'll admit I was wrong. It was all my fault. I never should have treated you that way. Please get up. Please don't scare me like this." She knelt on the floor, pleading with my inert form. Caleb pointed at my chassis. "Olivia, get a grip. Look at it. That's not Lucas. It's a pile of junk. Don't." A sharp crack echoed as her hand connected with his face. The force of the slap stunned him. He stared at Olivia, who was now glaring at him with pure hatred. "You're the junk. This is Lucas." The dent in his head from the flower pot is still there. "How dare you say it's not him?" Caleb recovered, his face contorted with rage. "Fina, you don't believe me? I'll prove it to you." Before Olivia could react, he grabbed a fruit knife from a nearby table and sliced open my chest plate. The metal endoskeleton and jumble of dislodged components inside were exposed for all to see. "Look at this. What kind of person has this inside them? It's just a machine wrapped in synthetic skin. For all you know, there never was a real Lucas Miller. The man you married might have been a robot all along." "That's not true," Olivia shrieked. "Lucas is not a robot. He's just angry with me. This is his way of punishing me." Although my primary systems were offline, my passive sensors continued to record everything happening around me. Her belated concern triggered another new and unfamiliar emotional response in my processors. Unlike the feeling of peace, this one was a searing heat, like being burned by a flame. Was this what humans call heartache? But Olivia, it was too late. It had always been too late. Caleb grabbed her by the shoulders. Olivia, snap out of it. Even if the Lucas you were with was real, where is he now? Why would he leave a robot replica in his place? It means he never loved you. He was lying to you the whole time. Wake up. You're crying over him, and for all you know, he's off somewhere living it up without you. How stupid can you be? Suddenly, Olivia stopped crying. She believed him. She slowly lifted her head, and her eyes were filled with a chilling, cold light. Lucas Miller, she whispered, her voice dangerously low. You dare to play with my heart. I don't care where you've gone. I will find you if it's the last thing I do. For the next several days, Olivia searched for him frantically, scouring every corner of the city, but found no trace. That evening, she came to see my inert form again. She looked exhausted, her face pale and drawn. She had been doing this every night, just sitting and staring at me with a blank expression, her thoughts impossible to guess. This time, however, she seemed furious. The moment she walked in, she began to speak through gritted teeth. Lucas, where are you? Why are you doing this to me? As she spoke, she began to strike my lifeless body, venting her frustration. After her outburst, she finally tired herself out and collapsed into a chair. A moment later, one of the housekeepers rushed in, looking flustered. Mrs. Miller, there's a man at the door. He says he was Mr. Miller's personal physician. He says your husband left something with him for you. Hearing the words personal physician and remembering Lucas's long business trip, Olivia's expression shifted. Without hesitation, she had the man shown in. Before she could even ask a question, the doctor spoke. I know you have a lot of questions. This flash drive and this journal contain all the answers you're looking for. Mr. Miller instructed me before he passed away that if you ever discovered the truth and insisted on finding him, I was to give these to you. Hearing the doctor's words, Olivia seemed to go into shock. She stumbled, nearly falling to the floor. What do you mean before he passed away? She asked, her voice trembling. The doctor sighed. Mrs. Miller, it's better if you see for yourself. With that, he turned and left. The moment he was gone, Olivia snapped out of her stupor and rushed to plug the flash drive in her laptop. I remembered then. The drive contained a video the real Lucas had recorded for her before he died. He knew that, with her sharp intuition, it was only a matter of time before she realized the man who had been with her for 4 years was a machine. This was his way of telling her everything. The video began to play. The moment she saw Lucas's face on the screen, tears began to stream from her eyes. He explained everything: the liver donation, the complications, his terminal diagnosis, and the creation of me, his replacement. By the time the video ended, she was weeping uncontrollably. After composing herself, she shakily opened his journal. First day of classes. I saw a girl today. Her smile just completely floored me. I spent forever psyching myself up to go talk to her. But then Caleb Vance showed up at her side. Is he her boyfriend? Found out her name today, Olivia Hayes. And Caleb is just a friend she grew up with. I still have a chance. She said yes. She agreed to marry me. I'm going to spend the rest of my life taking care of her. Olivia was in an accident today. She needs a liver transplant. I signed the donor forms. The surgery was a success. Olivia is going to be okay. But the doctors say I'm having complications. The pain is unbearable. I just want to hear her voice, but she's out celebrating Caleb's birthday. Olivia collapsed to her knees, her eyes hollow and vacant. Tears streamed down her face as she spoke, her voice a raw, trembling whisper. I'm so sorry, Lucas. I'm sorry. I was a monster. It's all my fault. I'm so sorry. She reached out a trembling hand and caressed my broken chassis, as if trying to hold on to something that was already gone. Her forehead hit the floor with a dull thud. Her desperate apologies echoed in the silent room, but they could never mend what had been broken. The revelations seemed to have pushed her over the edge. She locked herself in the room with my mechanical body. When she slept, she held me in her arms. When she was awake, she would watch the video on the flash drive over and over, or just stare into space. She even called out Lucas's name in her sleep. This went on for 4 days until Caleb came to see her. When he saw the state she was in, his face filled with pity. Olivia, you can't keep doing this to yourself. Lucas is gone. He's dead. Torturing yourself like this isn't going to bring him back. Not coming back? He's not coming back. No, Lucas will come back. He shouldn't have been the one to die. It should have been me. Caleb's words seemed to have triggered something in her. She began to mutter to herself like a lunatic. Then a new thought seemed to strike her. She whipped her head around and glared at Caleb with pure venom. He was taken aback. Olivia, what is it? She spoke through clenched teeth. And you're the one who really deserves to die. This is all your fault. To her surprise, Caleb laughed. Olivia, how can you blame this all on me? I admit I've always been in love with you, but let's not forget, you were the one who cheated. You're the one who gave me an opening. He moved to sit beside her, putting a comforting arm around her. Olivia, you have to move on. Lucas is dead. There's no point in dwelling on the past. Now we can finally be together out in the open. Don't worry about a thing. You can leave the company to me. I'll take care of you now. I won't. Before Caleb could finish his sentence, Olivia produced the fruit knife and plunged it into his stomach. A look of pure disbelief spread across his face. Olivia, you're killing me, you bitch. How dare you? The mask of civility finally dropped from his face. He raised a hand to strike her, but before it could land, she stabbed him again and again and again. Each thrust was aimed at a major artery as she muttered under her breath. Die. All of you just die. Go keep Lucas company in hell. I do not know how many times she stabbed him. In the end, his head lolled back at an unnatural angle. The room was drenched in blood, the air thick with its metallic scent. The scene was one of absolute horror, but Olivia was not afraid. She looked at the carnage she had created and began to laugh through her tears. Lucas, she whispered, don't worry, I'm coming. Then she closed her eyes, a faint smile on her lips, and plunged the knife into her own heart.